Welcome in. It is week 23 of our Wednesday webinar, Home Owner and Home Buyer series. Remember, this series is for home buyers and home sellers or potential home buyers. And we're here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. All right. So now I want to let you guys know that tonight, just like all the past 22 weeks, we're not going to sugarcoat a thing. We're here to talk about the real reasons some sellers get stuck, the stuff that nobody talks to you about. Most real estate agents don't want to talk about. I am Daphne Brown. For those of you who are new here, for those of you who are coming back, welcome. Again, come on in. I'm the broker owner of Beyond the Home Realty, and we are right here in Rocheron, Texas, but we do real estate all across the Houston suburbs. I've been in the trenches with sellers. I've seen what works. I've seen what does not work. And I've seen what keeps people frozen in place. So by the end of tonight, you're going to walk away with clarity, not confusion. Now, I do want to say that for the past 22 weeks, I'm going to say 70% of what we've discussed in past Wednesday webinars has been for buyers. Although, there's something in each week for a buyer and a seller. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure that you go to YouTube to our playlist. We have that for you, and that has all of the weeks there. But tonight is going to have a strong seller focus, but again, there's something in here for buyers as well. So tonight you're going to know exactly what's standing between you and a successful sale as a seller. And we are going to jump right on in. Why some sellers can't sell? This is not just a market problem. This is a people problem. Sellers aren't stuck because the market is broken. They're stuck because they did not have the right information going in. And so again, tonight we're going to walk you through the exact things that trip sellers up. From what you think your home is worth to the fine print on those, let's just say, solar panels, to what that rented water softener means at closing. We're going to discuss that. Every single thing I cover tonight is real. These are real situations, real homeowners right here in our area. And now I want us to just be honest. You've probably looked at Zillow if you're thinking about selling, even buyers, right? You've heard your neighbor that they sold their house and you're thinking, the market seems like it's okay. I wonder if I should sell too. Would I be able to sell? But something is holding you back, and maybe that's uncertainty, maybe that's fear, maybe you just don't know where to start. And that feeling is real, and you are not alone. So here's what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk about your actual home value, what it costs to sell, the rate lock-in problem that a lot of people are facing today, the pandemic purchase issues. We're going to talk about solar panels, roofing, rented equipment on your home. We're going to talk about competition and your real options. I know that's a lot, but I'm going to make it simple and plain. Here is the number one thing that surprises people. Your home value. Let's see what sellers are looking at right now. So let's just say, for example, a seller sees their home value. Let's say that is $350,000, and they're thinking, "Oh, great, that's what I'm going to get." And the answer is, dun, da, da, da. No, no, no. This is not what you're getting, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. Your home value is not your paycheck. Your net proceeds, what you actually walk away with, is a completely different number. And for many sellers, that gap is shocking. This is what I want you to relate it to. Let's talk about maybe a car. Let's talk about a car. Think of it that way. You sold a car for $10,000, but you still owed $4,000 on the loan. You pay a dealer fee of $500. You fix a door dingy thingy before you sold it, and that was $300. So how much do you actually walk away with? $5,200. $5,200 for a car that you sold for $10,000. And so in that way, real estate works the same way. There's your mortgage balance, closing costs, commission, repairs, HOA fees, transfer fees, taxes, all of the things. These all come out before you see one single dollar. So I'm going to break these down one by one so that you understand exactly what you're dealing with. Now, before you even list, there are costs. Pre-listing inspections, repairs, staging, photography. These are investments, but they are costs that you need to plan for. So let me kind of go back what I just said. Repairs, you can sell your home as is, but we talked about what that looks like in last week's webinar. Photography, if you're talking to the right realtor, that is the cost that they will pay for. Staging, you don't necessarily have to stage, but staged homes sell faster. And I'm not talking about homes that are staged with a bunch of stuff. The bare minimum in your home to show people how they could live in your home, those staged homes sell faster. And a pre-listing inspection, you don't have to do that, right? But we're going to talk about, as we get more into this week's webinar, why that may be the move for you. So if that sounds good, let us go ahead and jump on into this more. So whatever you owe on your home comes off the top at closing. We just talked about that. So if you owe $200,000 and the home sells for $280,000, you're not getting $280,000, right? You're going to get the $280,000 minus what you owe, minus everything else that we're about to discuss right now. All right. So yes, in your transaction, there are agent fees involved with selling your home. And a good realtor, a good agent, more than earns their fee by getting you more money, by getting you better terms, by offering a smoother transaction, and then just helping you sell your home faster. That fee, however, is negotiated and discussed up front, so there are no surprises to you. In Texas, sellers typically pay the owner's title policy, escrow fees, recording fees, and sometimes buyer concessions. All of that is what you need to discuss with your agent, your realtor that is selling your home. Buyers, for the repair costs, they're going to get an inspection, and inspectors are going to find things. The question is, do you fix those things before listing so that you can control the cost, or do you wait and let the buyer dictate the terms? It's all about control. Control of what I say, control of what I do. Control. Okay. All right. I recommend knowing everything that you can learn up front before you ever put your home on the market. Now, I'm not sharing this to scare you, right? I'm sharing this so you can walk into the process prepared. All right. Now that you know that costs exist, here is what we're going to talk about now. So we're going to talk about how you get ahead of those things. And so these are 4 elements that I walk every seller through before we ever put a sign in the yard. Number 1 is the seller's net sheet. So before you list with us, we sit down and we have a conversation with you. We calculate your estimated net proceeds, and we let you see exactly what to expect. No guessing, no surprises. And that just makes for a better, cleaner transaction. And then number 2 is the preliminary closing disclosure. Think of this as a preview of your closing statement. You see the numbers before you're sitting down at the closing table. Again, we minimize any surprises and try to manage the transaction. So this is an actual seller statement. Of course, I've blurred out a lot of the numbers, like the seller's information. Keep in mind that this is a preliminary. So these aren't the exact numbers, but it gives you a ballpark of what you can expect. All right. And number three, we review those costs together: the mortgage payoff, the HOA, the realtor commissions, the taxes, all of it. You deserve to see the full picture. And then number four, we communicate, right? We're the agents who over communicate. If there is ever a time where something changes, if a repair comes up, if the buyer's asking for a concession, we tell you immediately, remembering that time is of the essence. And so with us, you're never in the dark. We try to control the surprises. The element of surprise is not our friend in a real estate transaction. Now, here's a scenario that I see all the time. A homeowner has $80,000 or so. We're going to use that for this example. They have about $80,000 in equity on paper. So they're excited. They feel good. They're dancing and emphasizing, and they feel financially strong. They think they have tons of flexibility. But then we run the numbers. And after paying off the mortgage, after covering closing costs, after making repairs and accounting for the next purchase that they're going to make, that $80,000 is not going as far as they thought it would. This is the equity trap. Equity on paper and money in your pocket are two completely different things. If you don't understand your true equity position before you list, then you may find yourself in a situation where the numbers just don't number, where they just don't work. And that's how sellers end up pulling their listings, feeling stuck, or continuing with the sale and having a terrible transaction. All right. Many of you purchased your home when the rates were in the threes, right? Threes or fours, maybe even lower, because we did have some that were lower. That was truly a gift. A 30-year loan at 3% is genuinely incredible. But herein lies the problem. If you sell that home today, you're giving up that 3% rate or that 4% rate. And your next home at today's rates could mean a mortgage payment that's easily $600, $800, or $1,200 more per month for the same price home. That is the lock-in effect. People aren't being lazy or indecisive. They're doing the math, and the math ain't mathing. And it doesn't always work in their favor, especially right now. Have that conversation with your realtor and make sure that they are really giving you good information. I'm also not the realtor that's going to just say, oh, you should sell anyways. It's going to all work out. Pray about it and it's going to work out. Because, yeah, pray for everything, but expect anything. But honestly, that's not honest for me to tell you just to sell anyway and it'll work out. What I will tell you is there are strategies for almost every situation in real estate. It's just how willing are you to pivot? And when we look at your specific numbers, we will make a determination whether this is good for you to go ahead and sell or explore other options. So we are going to talk about the lock-in effect. Now, I'm going to give you some good news because this is not all doom and gloom. Even with the higher rates, life happens. Divorces, job transfers, growing families, aging parents, people are selling. Not because the rates are perfect, but because their circumstances require it. When rates even slightly dip, and I can't tell you when that will be because I don't have a crystal ball, and we all know what's going on in our current economy. But when they do dip, and they will, buyer urgency is going to spike. Buyers who've been sitting on the sidelines, and there are a lot, I have some, they're going to jump right on back in the game. And that will mean more competition for your home, and that means better offers for you. The sellers who win are the ones who prepare now. So getting your pre-listing inspection done, getting your net sheet calculated, knowing your numbers will really set you up so that when the market shifts, and it will, I can promise you that, you'll be ready to move immediately and you're not scrambling to catch up. Being prepared is the competitive advantage that most sellers skip. Please don't skip it. Remember 2020, 2021? Homes were just flying out the market. Buyers were waiving inspections, which I would never advise, but they were waiving inspections. They were offering 30, 50, $100,000 over asking just to win the home, just to win the property. And I was like, oh Lord, this is crazy. It felt like you had to overpay though to get the home, because if you didn't, you'd never get a home. I remember literally we had one set of clients. It was a married couple and they were looking in spring, and we looked at about 20 to 30 properties, and we ended up coming out of spring and just building. You had to make those hard decisions if you were to have any chance at getting a property. And like I said, most people overpaid because they had to. We were dealing with people coming from other states because, Texas was kind of laxed with their pandemic rules. And so they were just moving here. People were working from home. For a lot of them, they could live anywhere. As long as they had a computer and a phone and internet service, this was the place for them to come. You get more home, bigger home for less money. So everybody was choosing to come here. And so the people that were already here, that were already in the real estate, game, that were already like saying, hey, I've already been thinking about buying or selling. We were just like, okay, what about the people that are already here? What do they do? And so in order to compete with the California money, with the Florida money, with the New York money, they had to overpay. And that's what a lot of people did. And now some of those same homeowners want to sell. But the problem is, let's say you paid $350,000 for a home that was worth $310,000 at the time because of the bidding war frenzy. The values haven't climbed enough since then. So that means that you owe more than the home is currently worth. Or you may have just enough equity to sell, but not enough to comfortably make your next move. And that is a real painful situation that so many sellers are in right now. And it's excruciating to hear their stories and try to figure out, okay, this is your next move. Here's a strategy for what I advise you to do. So what do? Well, first, you have to find out as a seller exactly where you stand. Don't assume anything, because real estate is honestly too important for you to just assume or flying off the hill with, these thoughts without thinking them through. You have to think them through. Be patient. That's number one, but be strategic. Don't assume. That is when you need to either call me or call in some other professional that's knowledgeable. If you call me, we're going to pull current comps and run your real numbers, because knowledge is power and not knowing is what keeps people feeling stuck. And we don't want you to feel stuck. Now, here's one of the reasons why a lot of people are stuck. Solar panels. Oh my Jesus. Solar panels are everywhere in Texas neighborhoods right now. And I need you to hear me clearly. Your solar situation can either help you sell or make it significantly harder for you to sell. It really depends entirely on how those panels are owned. So number one, if they're owned outright, you paid cash or you paid your loan off and the panels are fully yours, this is the cleanest situation when it comes to selling that property, okay? Number two, the solar panels were financed with a loan. There's still a balance owed on the solar panels. This creates a lien on your property. So if you are still making a mortgage payment, then your mortgage lender has first lien, and then the solar panels would create a second lien on your property. And that is a lien that must be paid off or assumed at closing. Remember, if you have any liens on your property, against your property, when you go to sell, all of those liens have to be paid off, okay? And so paying off whatever is there, paying off whatever liens exist, impact your net proceeds. All right. So especially if there's a lien on solar panels, that is going to affect your net proceeds. Number three, leased or power purchase agreement for those solar panels. meaning you don't own the panels, you're renting them. All right. And that lease has to go somewhere when you sell. Okay. So either the seller has to pay them off or the buyer has to agree to assume that lease. Or, like I said, you just have to say, bite the bullet. If I want to sell badly enough, I need to pay that off. And that's where things get complicated. So right now, before you make any phone calls to myself or to another realtor, before you start really exploring your options, you have to find out is 3 questions you got to ask. Do I own my solar panels outright? Is there a loan on them, or am I in a lease or PPA with the solar panels? Because finding out that information is going to shape the entire conversation that you have with any realtor, okay? Now, if your solar panel is fully paid off, no loan, no lease, there is potential value here, okay? So there may be some potential here. Some buyers see lower electricity bills as a bonus, but, and this is important, not every buyer values solar the same way. They just don't. If it's me, I don't like those things on your roofs. They look like an alien landed in their spaceship, and I don't like it. I'm not against solar panels, but if they can't go in, if you don't have enough real estate in the yard to put them, I would never suggest. I'm telling you, my advice is always the same. I would never advise anybody to get solar panels on their roof. I would always tell you to go with the alternative of getting a generator. That's what I would tell them. Because the truth is, some appraisers struggle to place consistent value on solar systems. Some buyers see it as an added cost if something breaks, right? So if you have those solar panels on your home, you're like, oh my God, my home is it's so great. And if I'm the buyer or if I'm the buyer's agent, I'm looking at like, yeah, this house is great, but those ugly solar panels on the roof are a problem. And so a seller may say, no, 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 there's great value in that. We only pay $100 a month in electricity. And I'm like, okay, but they're still ugly. But what if something breaks, right? And we're going to get into that in just a little bit deeper into that in just a minute. But there could be possible value, but not a guaranteed premium with those solar panels. Now, leased panels are often seen as a liability by buyers, right? Because a buyer says, you're asking me to take on a monthly lease payment, which is sometimes anywhere from $150 to $200 a month that I didn't plan for and I can't get out of easily to buy your home. And that's not something I want. I don't want to take on more debt than I need. And so this reason causes many buyers to walk away or ask for a huge price reduction in your home. Or they'll require the seller to buy out the lease before closing. You need to know this going in, not at inspection, not at the closing table, okay? I'm not anti-solar. I know it probably sounds like it, but I'm just pro-informed, okay? So I just want you to be in the know and understand that a buyer is going to, with panels, solar panels, they're going to have to qualify for a mortgage to buy your home and a separate loan to take over the solar panels. And so that's 2 different loans. That's 2 different loan payments. We always preach to buyers to lower their debt, to keep their debt low, to not open any new accounts, any, new credit while they are undergoing the mortgage process to buy a home. I want to give you, this probably explains why I'm like I am with solar panels. I'm going to give you 3 numbers that basically tell the whole solar story. 80%. You see that? 80% of homeowners are unaware of the full costs associated with their solar panels. 80%. Okay. They know they signed a contract. They know the panels went up and hey, everybody moved on. But that contract has terms that matter at resale. $30,000. $30,000 is the average solar system cost before any incentives. So you know how they say, oh, the government is giving you tax credits. You're going to get this, that for solar panels. So after tax credits, maybe that 30,000 goes to 18,000 to 22,000, but it's still an additional debt, right? There's still a loan balance, and that is still a real number sitting on that property, a real lien on that property for those solar panels. And then 8 to 10 years. You see that? 8 to 10 years. The payback period for solar panels in Texas is typically 8 to 10 years or more. It's the or more for me. If you installed solar panels 3 years ago and you're selling now, the buyer is inheriting a system that has not yet paid for itself. None of this means you can't sell. It means you need to know these numbers before you price your home, not after. I need to talk about something that just doesn't get enough attention. And that still has to do everything to do with solar panels, but the companies, because several solar companies have gone bankrupt in recent years. And when that happens, the homeowners who have those solar panels on their home are now left in a very difficult position. When a solar company goes bankrupt, goes belly up, your workmanship warranty may be gone, voided, worthless, okay? If a panel malfunctions or there's a roof penetration issue, you're on your own. And this is a red flag for buyers, or it should be. People don't talk enough about that. They come by your house, bing, hey, this is Mario with solar panels, make it easy. No, I don't want it. Goodbye. Stay away from my house, right? Listen, a buyer's inspector is going to ask about the solar company, okay? And if that company no longer exists, you need to be prepared to address that concern because, again, that is a red flag. Now, here's the gut punch. If you have a solar loan through a company that went bankrupt, you still owe that loan. You still owe that money. Even if your panels were never properly activated, because sometimes they come out, they start installing them, and then they have to leave because they got to go get more stuff. And they may say, we'll be back in 2 weeks or a week or whatever. But what if they never had a chance to come back to your home to finish the installation and the company is no longer in business? That's on you. Even if they have never produced a single kilowatt, that's on you. All right. Now, I've worked with sellers who were making 200 a month solar loan payments for panels that were never turned on because the company collapsed before finishing the installation. They still owed the money. And that right there is a seller's nightmare, or it should be a seller's nightmare because, again, nobody talks about that. All right. If any of this sounds familiar, please, please reach out to me. Go to my website, jump on my calendar, and let's have a phone call. There are options. I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to be informed. There are options, but we have to know first what we're dealing with. All right. In Texas, specifically here in the Houston area, roofs are a big damn deal. We get hail, we get hurricanes, we get very high wind events if you're in the Brazoria area, especially, and we get intense heat that degrades the shingles on the roof faster than most of the country. A roof issue is one of the top reasons that deals fall apart in our market. Buyers get the inspection report, the inspector flags the roof, and suddenly we're renegotiating the entire deal. I've seen it happen. I've been involved on both sides. Or the buyer walks away, right? If your roof is older than 10 to 12 years, get a roofer out before you list your home so you can understand the condition of that roof. Not after, right? Before you list your home. And especially not during the buyer's inspection. Before. Why? Well, because if you find the issue, you control the situation. Again, control, hey, never gonna stop, okay? You can get multiple bids when you control the situation, and then you can decide whether to replace the roof or offer a credit to the buyer. If the buyer's inspector finds it, you are on their timeline and their terms. if you want that buyer to buy your home. Also, check with your homeowner's insurance, because if there was a hail event in your area, your insurance may cover a full roof replacement, and that will save you money. And that is huge for your transaction, because that means, or could mean, a brand new roof at little or no cost to you. And that is a game changer for the transaction. Now, if you've ever heard about water softeners, woo, okay. Now, you have to ask, and I always ask my sellers when I go in for a listing appointment and they tell me they have a water softener, do you own it or are you renting it? Because in Texas, water softeners are commonly rented because our water is so hard. Many people don't even realize they're paying a monthly fee for equipment that's not theirs. They just see it as part of the utility bill. And here is what matters for selling when it comes to this. In Texas, any and all rented equipment must be disclosed on the seller's disclosure notice. And if a seller fails to disclose it, they could face legal liability after closing. This is not optional. Anything in your home that's leased, that's going to stay in the home, needs to be documented on that seller's disclosure. The buyer needs to know if they're taking over a rental agreement. Is the seller buying it out before closing? Will there be a balance? This has to be negotiated if this is the case, because again, it must be disclosed. Same issue with the security systems. Many systems like ADT, Vivint, Ring have monitoring contracts and are leased. The equipment belongs to the company. Again, a buyer just can't take it over automatically. Some contracts have early termination fees and some can't be transferred. They need to know that up front. So I'm going to tell you that if any of what I have said tonight rings true with you, if it rings an alarm, then I want you to start looking at your water softener statement, if that applies, and your security system contract to see what the situation is, because you may be surprised. And again, surprises are not our friends when we get into the contract. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit. We've talked a lot about the obstacles. Now we're going to talk about winning, because even with all of these challenges, the rates, the solar panels, the roof, the competition, sellers win every single day. They're still winning. The difference is preparation and strategy, all right? So right now in many neighborhoods, your home, should you decide to list, could be competing against other listings. Buyers are comparison shopping. They have a lot of inventory and a lot of options, so they aren't moving as fast because they know they have time. They're scrolling Zillow at midnight. They're visiting open houses on the Saturday and Sunday. They're doing all the things, and my job is to help, all right? And my job is to help you make your home the obvious choice, right? It means your home is priced right from day one. It's not too high and it's not too low. Overpriced homes, we talked about last week, they're just sitting and they become stigmatized. Buyers wonder, what's wrong with that house, right? And you don't want that. When your home is ready to sell, when it sticks out for all the good things, it means your home shows beautifully, it's decluttered, it's clean. The realtor and photographer has made sure that the photos are well lit and there's a strong online presence. It means you've addressed any known issues because you've had your pre-listing inspection and you know about those issues, right? And if you've corrected those issues, then you can let buyers know about them before they ever get to, hey, I want to put an offer in on your home, so I can make a more informed decision about whether they want to do that. And there, again, are no surprises. In a real estate transaction, surprises, 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 I do not like, and I try to minimize them, all right? So we're moving to what I call the 3 non-negotiables for listing. If you do all 3, you're ahead of 80% of the sellers at all times in any area. Number 1, we just talked about, is the pre-listing inspection. Hire an inspector before we list. This is kind of like a cheat sheet. And yes, we're going to use this to our advantage. And what this does is it gives you time options and, again, control. The buyer does not get to blindside you. All right. Number 2 is a market appraisal. So it's just like an appraisal. when a buyer goes to purchase a home that they're financing, but it's done before. This becomes your defensible number. It means that you know exactly what comparables have sold for, what's active right now, what buyers in your market are willing to pay. I provide you with a comparative marketing analysis, right? Yes, I will give you that. However, the market appraisal, because I'm not an appraiser, right? The market appraisal takes into account everything in the area. They can go out a little bit further than what we are allowed to go out in terms of distance from the subject property. And then also, what this does, this really, 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 I can't stress it enough, helps in situations where you are selling in a community that has new construction homes, right? And it lets you know what buyers in your market are willing to pay. You have your numbers. That way you don't have to guess. You have all the data. And now you can say, if there's a builder in the same community and they're offering 15,000 in builder concessions, you can't offer that perhaps, but now you can build a better plan in terms of a list price on your home. And it just helps you overall have a better picture. And I believe that it helps you sell your home faster. The worst thing you can do, I'm telling you now, in this market, is price your home based on what you need to net, okay? Or what your neighbors think it's worth. You can tell me what the neighbors think. I'll hear it, but it's in one ear and out the other. We price your home based on the market, period. And then number 3 is the seller net sheet. Before you commit to listing, we calculate exactly what you'll walk away with. We give you a neighborhood, like ballpark figure. If the number works for your goals, we move forward. If it doesn't, we talk about alternatives, but you decide with information and not hope. All right. These are not extras. These are the foundation. And this is how we go to market with confidence. True story. Right now, we're living it. We had some clients who purchased a home April 2025. They contacted us March 2026 and said, we want to sell our home. They purchased a brand new home on a 1 acre lot. We have worked with these people for years. They're really loyal clients who become family to us, and we appreciate that. But they always go in, and I'm telling you, they will freak these houses out. And their homes always sell fast, right? So we were like, okay, but you haven't even been in the house a year. Okay, and they're still building. So first thing we did was we contacted the salesperson at the model home, and I asked, are you building this floor plan? Because the floor plan that they have is a next gen home, meaning they have like I call it a wing for an adult child or a mother-in-law, aging parent, anything, and they have their own entrance to the home. They have a little living area, a kitchenette, bedroom, their own bathroom, right? Boom. All right. So they were like, the salesperson told me, no, we're not building that floor plan right now. We're not building that next gen floor plan. I was like, all right. So we move forward. I call him and I say, hey, I want to come out to visit. So I went out to visit. And I also checked out the neighborhood to see how far they'd come along in building other homes. So I was checking out the neighborhood, got to the house, saw all the tasteful upgrades that they've done to the home to elevate it. And they are always good about this. I'll show you some pictures in just a second. So anyways, I told them, I said, I'm going to need you to invest about $1,200 in this strategy that I have, but I think it could really work. And so the $1,200 went to the pre-listing inspection and the market appraisal, right? So those two cost about $1,200. We got the information back, and by the time we were ready to put their home on the market, they were now building this floor plan. Okay. And it was a lot less. It was priced for a lot less than what we were listing their home. A lot less. Okay. Like $80,000, $85,000 less. Okay. So boom, right? Most people would have given up, but I really had a strategy going. So I said, okay, let's move forward. And then also it really helped us that the home that the same floor plan that they were building was on a half acre. It wasn't on a full acre anymore. So we were like, okay, boom. So we went to market. We were on the market for 3 days. We got an offer. We start negotiating on day 4. And by day 5, it was option pending, right? Which is really, really good. And I will tell you that getting all of these things done, we are selling for the highest price per square foot in that community. Hey, hey, the highest price per square foot in that community. And that is not luck. That is all strategy. And that is all trust because they trusted our advice. So I just want to let you know that this does work. Now, we're going to talk about, I just want to share that with you guys. We're going to talk about what is the real option when selling, what the real options are. A lot of sellers think they have 2 choices, sell now or stay stuck, and that's just not true. The real options are, it depends on your specific situation. Real estate is a game of pivot. Can you pivot? If so, what are you willing to do? Sometimes the smartest move, let's just be honest, option 1, sometimes the smartest move is to just wait. If your equity is not where you want it to be, if the rates aren't favorable for your next purchase, then maybe waiting 12 to 24 months while you pay down your mortgage and build more equity might be the right call. That is not giving up. That is also strategy, just a different strategy, right? Option 2 could be rent your home out. If you turned your home into a rental property, what would that look like? We help you understand what that picture would look like. If you decide to rent your home out and purchase another one, you keep ownership, you get to build equity, continue to build equity, and you get to generate monthly income. But again, we need to make sure that what you can rent the home for covers what you're paying for the home every month. All right. So going with this option, you are not forced to sell at the wrong time. Rental demand in a lot of areas in Houston and the surrounding areas are strong. And so this is a very real option. Option 3 is sell. If the numbers don't work, and for many sellers, they do, selling now makes sense. So we will help you decide by giving you the numbers, right? Life doesn't wait for perfect conditions. If you need to move, if you need to downsize, if the opportunity is calling you now, sell, sell, sell. Let's look at the numbers and see if now is your time to sell. My job is not to push you to sell. My job is to give you every piece of information that you need so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. That decision may be to sell, but it also may be to wait, right? It also may be to rent, but we are going to give you the information so we can help you figure that out. Now, before anyone lists their home, I want them to be able to answer 2 questions. If you can't answer both of these, then that means you're not ready to list yet. Question 1 is, what will I walk away with? Not your Zillow estimate, not your neighbor's opinion, your actual net proceeds after the mortgage, after the commissions, after the closing costs, after the repairs. That is your real number. Do you know what that is? If the answer is no, that's okay. That is exactly what the seller net sheet solves. We calculate that together. And then question 2 is, what is my plan for what comes next? What are you going to do afterwards? Okay. Where are you going to go after you sell? Are you going to buy again? Are you going to temporarily rent? Are you going to move out of state? Are you downsizing? You need a plan. And that plan often involves talking to a lender before you list so that you know what you qualify for on the other side. Too many sellers are so focused on getting out that they haven't thought enough about where they're going to go. Then they sell, they close, and they realize they can't find anything in their price range. I don't want that to be you. I can connect you with a trusted lender when you call me before you list so that we know what your buying power is going in. So again, there aren't any surprises, right? I want to leave you with this. You're not stuck. I know it may feel that way for some. The rates are high, the numbers feel uncertain, the market feels unpredictable, but feeling stuck and being stuck are two totally different things. Every single challenge I walk you through tonight has a solution, which is a good thing. Some solutions require patience, some require preparation, and some require a simple phone call to me. Call me. But none of them require you to stay stuck, to stay frozen. Here's what I want you to do. Sometime this week, I want you to go to beyondthehomerealty.com or just call me directly, 281-808-0471, and let's have a conversation. No obligation, no pressure, just a conversation, right? We'll look at your specific situation. We'll talk it over. We're going to run some real numbers for you, and I will give you my honest assessment of your options. If now's your right time for you to sell, I'm going to tell you. If it's not, I'm going to tell you that too. And I'm going to tell you what we need to do to make it the right time if it's not. The homeowners who move forward with confidence are not the ones who had perfect market conditions. They're the ones who had the right information and the right partner. I want to be that partner for you. All right. So again, you're going to go to beyondthehomerealty.com. From there, you can jump on my calendar. And then I want to show you some pictures from the home that we talked about earlier. So this is the home. Now they extended this patio. They added these shutters on the inside, which I love those shutters. And then again, they're on a 1 acre lot. So they fenced the whole entire lot. And then they did some grass seeds to fertilize the yard so it could grow in, but they added this patio section right here. They made it bigger and they added fans. I mean, they did I didn't put pictures of the interior, and that's my fault. I'm sorry. We're still in the transaction. We close next week, and I didn't want to, like really go into their privacy like that, but it is a really nice house. And too bad, so sad, I'm doing this after we have a contract, but it's something I definitely think you guys, if you were looking to purchase a home and in this area, you would have been interested in. But here is a QR code that you can scan. If you, let's say you're like, okay, D, I hear you, but girl, I don't know you from a can of paint, but I want to know what my home value is. You can scan this QR code and you will get your home's value. That way, if you don't want to have a conversation, but you just kind of want to know, lurking ass, then you can get that right here by scanning this QR code. And then listen to the lady. She know what to do. Go on, tell them, girl. Tell them, Gertrude. Tell them, Gertrude. Tell them, Gertrude. You know what to do when you want to buy or sell a home. Baby, do that. Do that. Not yum yum, Mr. Norman. Call the homegirls because we're going to help you. Yum yum, the homegirls. All right. Now, if you are thinking about, have a desire to sell your home, or if you know someone who wants to sell a home, these are just a fraction of some of our tools and resources that we supply our sellers with so that we can understand everything that we need to understand about that transaction and about that home. So it starts off with a seller questionnaire so we can get to know the property. And these are some of our just listed boxes that we pass out to the neighbors in the area ahead of the open house. And then we just have some guides for you that help you understand photo day, that help you understand the condition that we expect the home to stay in while we're on the market. This is a guide with 105 ways that I sell your home. And so we also have a pre-listing questionnaire as well. Before we list what you need to know, right? We want to know stuff, but you want to know stuff too. And then I have another guide here. But again, these are just some of the tools at our disposal that we give our sellers so that the transaction can have as few surprises as possible. I will let you know that this webinar will be uploaded to YouTube on Sunday, so you can catch the replay there. And then if you have any questions, or if you're like, hey girl, I missed a webinar, or I need to catch up or rewatch it, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel, Houston Suburbs, where you can catch all of the past webinars, all of the past 22 weeks. Again, we're in week 23. Next week is week 24. We are getting through this thing, just barreling through. I do want to remind you that if you know anyone who can benefit from this webinar, whether they are a buyer or seller or just thinking about doing one or both, please invite them here to the webinar. We would love to have them. And I just want to remind you that for all of your real estate needs, I am Daphne Brown, broker owner of Beyond the Home Realty. And guess what? I'm always ready and willing to enable you to find your way home. Bye. See you next week. Woo. Don't forget that right here we have a playlist where you can check out all of the past webinars. Click here to get started.
Just pulled up to the house.